Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment time? Anybody for public comment? Public comment? All right, public comment time is closed. Committee items. First item, minutes from the December 9 meeting. Need a motion to approve the minutes?
Support.
Any questions, concerns, comments about the minutes? Any corrections needed? Seeing none, okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Item B, appointments. Come on. Sanitary Code Board of Appeals, we have no applicants, no recommendation there. Human Services Coordinating Alliance, we have one applicant, Dr. Alan Tompkins. Any other nominations from the floor? All right, and we want to move Alan Tompkins for Human
Sure.
Services Coordinating Alliance?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, Dr. Tompkins is approved. Next item, Lifeways Monthly Report.
Good afternoon, Shannon Clevenger here for Lifeways. I wanted to go over a couple things that are in the packet that you received and some additional information. We are closing our calendar year on the millage for our first year with the millage, and I wanted to share some information with you. Through the millage, we have served 496 individuals. We have provided 2,855 services so far. Majority of those services were case management. We had some jail services in there, outpatient services, and psychiatric. 16% of those 2,855 services were crisis services. We are in a 45-day billing cycle to close out the year, so what Mary Beth wanted me to request is if she could get on the study session agenda for February, that would be right about the time that billing window will close for December, and she will have the most accurate information at that point to report to you. Let's see. We're working on a collaboration with Henry Ford Allegiance Health to streamline our processes and reduce unnecessary pre-screens. Henry Ford Allegiance has a screening center on site, and we have a screening center relative to inpatient admissions, and we're working with their leadership to develop a more streamlined process so people do not have to tell their stories twice, don't have to go through two screening processes. We also recently went through a CARF accreditation, and with over 4,000 standards reviewed, we had no areas of recommendation, which was pretty substantial. We added a number of programs. We are in the planning process for our 24/7 crisis center that we're hoping to open this calendar fiscal year. We have a redesign of our residential rates to manage our escalating residential costs within our network that we hope to implement starting in March. There's a potential SAMHSA grant opportunity that we're coordinating with. The goal of this grant is for the development of a trauma-informed resiliency assessment and interventions to provide the best opportunities for children and youth in residential settings. We are just now in the application process. Jackson was one of several communities selected to apply, and the exciting part of this is by putting some of these interventions in place, it may reduce the cost of residential care for individuals receiving services through MDHHS. Club Life is our social recreational program that we've been able to support through the millage, and we have a significant increase in participation is expected over the next year, and to keep up with the current demand, the rate of the increase that has been demonstrated over this first year, Club Life is able to coordinate social programs with other community organizations, and the continued expansion of the current vendor will meet community demand in 2020, so we will not be adding an additional provider for that.
Tony,
Yes.
could I ask that Mary Beth give us the number of interventions that have occurred through the sheriff's department and the county jail, please? when
For
she
jail
comes?
services?
Yeah,
Okay.
for jail services.
Have her break that out when she comes to the study? Okay. Absolutely. Also wanted to mention the Guardianship Advisory Committee, Family Services and Children's Age is requesting Lifeways remove 50 consumers from guardianship services by April. Our Strategic Relations Director has been meeting with Mr. Powell over at FSCA to devise a sustainable model. And my understanding is there may be a meeting that's getting scheduled, and if there is, Mary Beth is more than happy to attend to help problem solve and see what could be developed. She has a placeholder currently in the millage funding for this year, but wants to also problem solve sustainability moving forward with that program. And that would conclude my report.
Question?
Yeah, just one quick question for you. Good afternoon. So I'm looking at the potential grant that you spoke of, the
SAMHSA?
SAMHSA, yes. How long does that application process take?
I am not sure. My understanding in talking with Mary Beth this morning before she left for her meeting was they're just in the beginning stages of it.
Okay.
So I am not sure how long it's going to take.
Okay, and then are we currently, is there anything in place currently to do this line of work?
Well, we have a trauma-informed system at our agency and within our provider network, but it doesn't always touch all of those children that might be in residential care through the department.
Okay,
And
that's
so
more or
this-
less what I'm sorry, I guess I could have worded that a little bit better. Are we currently doing anything that will relate to this grant currently already with students that are in, or children that are in some type of residential placement?
I'm going to say yes. It's usually on a select case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Usually MDHHS will reach out to us to get involved with a child that may not be open to our services and to help to provide some wraparound type of supports or some clinical care to that child while they're in residential care.
Okay.
And the department has programs and providers that they contract directly with. So this grant would allow a more coordinated opportunity for all those children in residential services.
I see. Okay. All right, thank you. No, that was the only question I had. Thank you.
Going to 988,
Yes.
do we have overlap, and how many months is that going to be of the 800 talk number? Number one, and number two, how do we plan on getting 988 out to the community so that way they know that that's the number they need to call for suicide hotline?
We'll be doing some press releases and do some blasts through our network and on our Facebook and Instagram page. I know that there's going to be some coordination with our Strategic Relations Department with MDHHS to get all of that information out also. I am not sure about overlap and timing.
Okay, I find that it works best if you can call the 1-800 number, and while it'll still automatically connect you, it tells the person that the new number, what the new number is. And I've had that experience with different commercial businesses, and that's worked well, so I'm sure that would help. Because it would be my thought that people that are calling for suicide hotline, that they might be a frequent flyer.
And currently with the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, when a person would call that, they then direct them back to their local area. So I would see something similar. But I
Thank
can
you.
definitely make a note of that. Nope. Thank you.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to all of you. I think we have this one item that needs your vote on. It's for our Department of Environmental Quality, Great Lakes and Quality, if they could make their name any longer. This is one of the state departments that we work with, and we did receive a small increase, about $1,300, a little over $1,300, and that was applied toward our Type 2 drinking water supply program. That essentially is our systems that supply water for our commercial systems or schools or gas stations, places like that. The other part of the increase was a small increase in our swimming pool area, and then we had very slight decreases in our drinking water and our campgrounds. So we're operating pretty much at the levels that we've operated at since 2012 when it comes to this contract with the state, so we're in good shape.
Any questions? All right, this contract receipt needs approval of the full board, so we need a motion to move it on to the full board.
Correct.
Any discussion? Motion? All in favor, say aye.
All right?
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, the Health Department monthly report.
Sure, and I have just a couple items to report on. One is, many of you know that we went through our accreditation process where we had the 3 state departments come to our department and review us on all of the programs we have, mainly the mandated programs, but Children's Special Health Care Services is a part of that as well, which is technically not mandated. And we had to submit 2 corrective action plans for our food service program and our Children's Special Health Care Services program. So what happens from this point is those have been published, meaning that the reviewers accepted them. And for the food program in particular, we have to graciously invite them back to do another review just to assure that we're following the corrective action that we had laid out in our plan. So the 2 corrective actions that we did, one for Children's Special Health Care was related to a policy measure that we have for individuals. So Children's Special Health Care, in the name, you would assume it's always for children, but there are certain diagnoses that they can continue to qualify for the program, developmental diagnoses or physical limitations they may have. And they then will most children age out of the program. However, there's also other transitional things that happen and occur in their life that we need to help move them toward sustainability and transition to out of the program. So we had to develop a policy and put that in place to show what those situations might be and how we would address that. The other one was in our food service program, and we had to submit a procedure for follow-up inspections at all of our sites. So we modified our procedure for that, and then we have a revisit from MDARD, Department of Agriculture, so that they can assure that we've been following that process and that procedure. So once we get those, we've gotten those approved at this point, so once we have the revisit, I hope to come back to you in June or July when we get officially our certificate from the state, and then we're good for another 3 years. So that process is just about completing. The other one I wanted to let you know about is in our Health Education Health Promotion Program. We did take advantage of some funds that were available from LARA for our medical marijuana program. And it's about $47,000, a little over $47,000, and we plan to use it by utilizing an existing staff person to increase her time. It's a health educator by about 12 hours, so we don't need to hire anyone new. There's no match required with this grant. What we plan to do with the money is to educate healthcare providers and human service agencies about the law. So this is specifically, I'll make sure to clarify that it's for medical marijuana, not necessarily the recreational side. So we also plan to provide outreach and develop some educational materials for the dispensaries and the shops, the vape shops and such, how to distribute this safely and handle it safely and store it safely. So our main message is coming from the point of we know it's legal, and even particularly with the medical part, not just the recreational, we want to ensure that people are accessing this safely as well as utilizing it appropriately and safely. The other big group that we hope to educate is youth under the age of 21. While we understand that there are probably very few youth who are going to be, receiving medical marijuana, understanding that they could potentially have access to it if like an adult in the household or something like that has it. So we want to ensure that children recognize the risks involved with that. The other, one piece of all of that is that we're hoping to purchase these lock boxes so that people can store them safely in their home, just so, younger children or children, under the age of 21 aren't accessing it. Then we also plan to work with our WIC program to schedule one-on-one educational sessions. This is another special population that we hope to reach, pregnant women and breastfeeding moms, wanting to educate them on the dangers of marijuana and the potential that it could pass through, and also into their fetus for the pregnant women. So we want to assure that, the usage of that we provide some education on that. And finally, as I mentioned, the whole piece about the lockboxes, we also plan to do a media campaign, and again, to educate mainly on the law and then the safety and the accessibility of it. So we did receive that money in the infinite wisdom that Laura has. The weird part is they've got this timeline that's like January 1st to September 15th. So we don't even get a whole full year with the money, which, you know, we're going to be talking to them about and giving them feedback in regards to that. That makes it somewhat challenging. We fortunately are using an existing staff person, but, you know, that does make it challenging. Where do we fund their salary for the remainder 3 months of the year? And we're currently working on that and trying to piece together some dollars of how we can do that so that we can keep that person on staff for a full year. And then finally, on the environmental health side, some good news. The Sayers Road condemnation, this was the methamphetamine home that we had condemned some time ago. The environmental health group and Don had worked through, you know, the leadership in order to try to get that condemnation order lifted and work with the homeowner as a result of that. We received notification from the industrial hygiene consulting firm concerning the clearance sampling that we had requested of them on December 20th. So all sample results came back as non-detect. So using the compliance levels utilized by MD, Michigan Department of Community Health, MDHHS, excuse me. And we provided a letter lifting the condemnation order on December 29th. Sorry, that's a typo, 2019, actually. And then sent that to the owner of the residence on the 23rd. So that officially, that case is officially closed as of now. And we're hoping that could be a potential site that, you know, could be habitable for an individual at this point. So that concludes my report. Can I answer any questions?
I just have just a couple of questions. Backing up to the medical marijuana grant. Now you mentioned about the possibility of some outreach with that. Now, is that just pamphlets, or are you looking to do some type of social media blast or website or something like that? Because for most people nowadays, as you I'm sure are aware, if it's not on a screen, most people aren't going to pay it any attention. So.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point. You know, it's not just going to be your traditional media and your pamphlets and whatnot. You know, certainly hoping to do some things on Facebook and our social media sites. You know, I'm not a Twitter user myself, but I'm hoping somebody on my staff is. You know, if we have to go that route, particularly in reaching the young population, you know, that is critical. So we will be using, you know, any and all avenues in that regard.
Okay. And then my last question was on the Sayers Road. In the event that, you know, we can continue with the case is closed now, but if there are any future projects or opportunities to make that area habitable, how long would that process take?
So at this point, technically, it is habitable as we know it. Don, I don't know if you have any other information to share in regards to that.
It is habitable, and in fact, the house has actually been sold to a senior citizen couple. This has been a long and sordid tale, 2 years actually, from start to finish. Legal counsel needed to be brought in, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, the house, by the owner of the land contract, ultimately gutted the house right down to the studs, removed all the insulation, rehabbed it completely, new countertops, new kitchen cabinets, the whole to-do. Basically, got it to the point where all it had to be was sampled on the ceilings because everything else was brand new. It all passed non-detect, and the sale went through to the new couple. Okay. It is completely habitable, and actually they've probably moved in at this point in time.
That's great.
It's back on it always was on the tax rolls, but now it's a much nicer house. The two neighbors next door, who went through a living hell, to put it lightly, with the meth user, are ecstatic. So.
Okay. Well, good.
It wasn't without cost, though.
Okay. Sure.
Any other questions?
No, that was those are the only two questions I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your report.
Okay, thank you.
Next item, other business, A, claims. We have a motion to pay the claims. We need a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Other minutes. We have a couple of sets of minutes here. I guess we need a motion to accept them. Have a motion to accept these minutes. We need a second. Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? None. Then the February reporting schedule. February will have, let me just come back here. It's the wrong spot. February we should have the Department of Aging, Health Department, and Lifeways all reporting. Now we're at our second opportunity for public comment. Any public comments? Not seeing any. We move on to committee comments. No committee comments. Then we are adjourned.